ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनां कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दामहेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण माता।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण माता।
Okay, I'll start with the prayers. So today we'll be discussing about chapter 15, that is the yoga of the Supreme Person. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashatya Deshadarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So today we'll be discussing about chapter 15. So like every week, so this chapter is named as the Yoga of the Supreme Person, or it is also called as Purushottam Yoga. Okay. So what is yoga? Can anyone tell what is yoga? So far we have been listening about yoga, right? Yoga number of times. If anyone raise your hand, I can unmute, or else you can type in the chat. What is yoga? So far we have dealt with 14 chapters, and today we came into 15 chapters. So what is yoga? Rohan?
Mataji, yoga is a thing we can be for this practical exercises.
No, I didn't understand what you were saying. Your connection is not that. Come again. What is yoga?
Mataji, yoga means that one thing which we do, so we should be far from these physical activities or exercises.
Okay, far from physical activity or exercise. That is agreed, but that is not the correct definition. Yeah, I see that uniting with God from Siri. Yeah, exactly. And Brunda has any other answer?
Mataji, it's the process where we try to unite with God.
Very good. Excellent. Yeah. Siri also said the same thing. Very good. Yeah. So last week we discussed, 3 weeks before. So we had a long break. So I'm not sure how it has impacted your Bhagavad Gita sessions. I'm wishing that all of you still remember whatever we discussed so far. So the previous chapter is chapter 14, that is the 3 modes of material nature. So we had 4 sections in that. And in the first section, the 3 modes we discussed about what are the 3 modes. Can anyone tell what are the 3 modes? Brinda? Brinda, are you there? Okay, Harshit says he wanted to say. Yes, Harshit.
Mataji, hello? Yeah, Sattva Guna, Rajo Guna and Tamo Guna.
Okay, so beyond that, there is one more mode. What is that? So we all have to aspire to go beyond that, right? Yes, Harshit.
Mataji, Shuddha Sattva Guna.
Very good, excellent. So we all have to aspire to become a Gunatita, like Arjuna is a Gunatita, right? So we have to aspire to go beyond these 3 modes. If we are in these 3 modes, again, we will linger only in this material world. In the 14 planets we have, right? We will be lingering in this 14 planets only. So we have to aspire to go to Goloka. For that, we have to go beyond, that is the Shuddha Sattva. Okay. And then there we discussed about what are the types and where our position is. Like we also have discussed, like there'll be so many permutations and combinations. Not every living entity, like one single living entity, for example, myself, I am always in mode of passion or mode of ignorance, not like that. There are multiple combinations of these modes which impact on each and every living entity. Next, in the second section, we discussed about recognizing the modes, which modes are supreme in us. Like if it is a mode of goodness, then there'll be a lot of clarity in that particular individual. If the mode of passion is dominating, then they'll have a lot of anxiety. And if they're in the mode of ignorance always, they'll be always in delusion, that is illusion. Okay. And then in the third section, we discussed about acting and dying within the modes. So at the end of the death, if we are in a particular mode, that only will attain. For example, if we are in the mode of goodness, we might end up in the heavenly planets. If we are in the mode of ignorance, then we will end up in the hellish planets. If we are in the mode of passion, then we will end up on the earthly planet itself. And then the fourth section, which was talking about transcending the modes, how we can go beyond these modes, how can we transcend these modes. And Arjuna was asking the question, what is the behavior of the people who actually have transcended beyond these modes, how to identify them, and what are the symptoms he was asking. So Krishna was discussing about all this in this particular section. So today we'll go to the chapter 16. So chapter 15, that is entitled as Purushottam Yoga, or the Yoga of the Supreme Person. Okay, so here again we have 4 sections. So the first section is reflection and substance. So here you can see like a small picture is there, right? You can see a tree and then you can see a reflection. See, if that tree is there only, in that water you can see the reflection. So that Krishna will be explaining in this first section. And then in the second section, we'll be talking about the transmigration of the soul. So transmigration of the soul, anyone remember in which chapter exactly we actually dealt with it? Which is a chapter we talked where Krishna told about transmigration? Yes, Harshit.
Mataji, a second.
Yes, exactly. Correct. Yeah. Krishna gave little bit information about the transmigration of the soul in second chapter. Now he is giving more details on it. And the third section is the Lord, our maintainer. We will know how the Lord is maintaining us. And then in the fourth section, that is called as essence, that is from the verse 16 to 20. And this particular section gives the essence of the Vedas. What is the essence of Vedas? See, what are the Vedas we have? Anyone know what are the Vedas we have? Can we read all those Vedas? Yes, Brunda. What are the Vedas we have?
Rigveda, Yajurveda. I don't remember the other two.
Okay, Harshit will say. Yeah, Harshit.
Mataji, Rigveda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharveda.
4 Vedas we have. Yeah, very good. So reading these 4 Vedas, it is not so easy, right? First of all, we don't know where it is documented and how big it is. We don't know that. But Krishna is saying, if we understand these 4 verses here, right, you will know the essence of the Vedas. So let's see what is that essence of Vedas Krishna is discussing about here. So now let's move on to the first section. So what are the key learnings of this chapter is, we will have a peek preview into the spiritual world. So far in all the chapters we are discussing like this particular material world is like a jail. We have to aspire to go out from this jail and all, right? So Krishna here, he's explaining, he's giving a peek preview of the spiritual world, how the spiritual world will be, and that is the eternal abode, eternal home where we have to go, and how to set oneself free from the illusion. So in this material world, there's a lot of illusion. We always think whatever it is here is permanent. So how to set oneself free from that illusion also he is going to explain. And then we will understand how Krishna is maintaining us. So this we'll discuss in this. So this is the first section, the reflection and the substance. So in this chapter, we understand that the material world, so all of you know the banyan tree, right? It has so many roots and yeah. So Krishna is comparing the material world to a banyan tree, which is upside down. So when the tree is upside down, what will be on the top? Can anyone say? What will be on the top? I see only Harshit and Brunda raising her. Yeah, Brunda.
The roots.
Roots will be up, right? Exactly. So Krishna is saying that this material world is like a upside down banyan tree. In that case, the roots will be up, the branches, the leaves, everything will be down, right? So when the material, material world is like an upside banyan tree, then originally there should be something, right? Without that, we don't see the reflection. So Krishna is saying that this material world is like a reflection from that of the spiritual world. So who want to read this first verse here?
Yes, Mataji. Shri Bhagavan ऊर्ध्वमूलम् अधःशाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित्. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas.
Very good. So that is what Krishna is saying in this particular verse. He's saying that this material world is like an upside down. So Ashwattham means that is a banyan tree. So he's saying that it is an upside down banyan tree wherein the roots are upward and the branches are down and leaves also are down. So the leaves are compared to a Vedic hymns here. And one who knows this, who is a knower of all the Vedas. So if you see this picture here, right, there's one beautiful picture here. So if you see this picture, you're seeing all the roots upright. So on the top, you can see here Brahmaji is there, right? So on the top, there will be the Satyaloka. And then we'll have like the Devatas, then Asuras, then Kinnaras, Gandharvas, and then we'll have Manushya. So somewhere here, we'll have this earthly planet where we are all residing. So Krishna is comparing that here. He's talking about the material world, how the material world. So this particular picture, if you see, right, there's so many people jumping and you can see that there is reflection here. So we have to understand that the world is a reflection of the spiritual world. See, for example, this dog is here. This dog is standing like this. Because it is standing like that, you can see the reflection down. So without these people or the dogs or the cat here, you won't see any reflection down, right? So same way, Krishna is saying that this material world, because there is spiritual world, you're seeing that reflection. That is the material world. So we have to come out from the illusion that this material world is temporary. We have to understand that there is a spiritual world. There is an eternal home for us. Okay. And then in this particular section, the reflection and substance, we will understand about the inverted tree, that is upside down tree. And we understand that the reflection of the original, because the spiritual world is there. That's why we have this material world. It is a reflection of the spiritual world. And then because we have the desire to live independently from the Lord, we wanted to enjoy separately from the Lord. Lord has created this material world for us. So many people keep saying, there's so many other people who actually misinterpret the scriptures, saying that there is no spiritual world at all. There is only material world, and there's a lot of variations. There's so many relations in material world, and then spiritual world, you won't have anything. and all they misinterpret the scriptures. But Krishna clearly is saying in Bhagavad Gita that because the jiva, we are all jivas, right? Because the jiva has the nature, has the desire to actually live separately from the Lord, he actually created this material world for us. And then some people, there's so many Vedas, right? In Bhagavatam, if you see 7th canto or something, in 7th canto, it actually, there's so many devatas, right? How many devatas we have? Anyone can put in the chart. How many devatas we have? Yeah, 33 crore. Oh, Siri is saying 33. Yeah, exactly. So each devata, if you worship, right, they will actually give some benediction. So these particular people, what they do is they actually go through the Vedas and for their own sense gratification. Like, for example, it is said in Vedas, like if you actually plant a mango tree or something at your house, right, you will actually have a boy baby. And if they plant guava tree or something, they'll have a girl child, like that. There's so many interpretations from the Vedas. And these people, what they do is, for their own sense enjoyment, they actually follow the Vedas and they live in ignorance. Okay. So here in this picture, you can see, right? This is because there is this spiritual world here. You're seeing that reflection here. Because in this right hand side, you can see because there is the tree and the tree is at the edge of the water. Okay. Then only you are able to see that reflection. For example, just think there is no water there or the tree is not there. You won't see any reflection, right? That we have to understand. Okay. Yeah. So we have the first life lesson here if anyone wants to read.
Yes, Mataji. Reflection may not be factual, but it is indicative of reality. Experience of the material world and its varieties indicate the existence of real spiritual world full of transcendental varieties.
Very good. That's what we discussed, right? So this life lesson is saying that because there is spiritual world, that reflection we are seeing. Like the example we took at the bank of the river, there is a tree and the reflection is seen in water. If the river is not there or if the tree is not there at the bank of the river, you won't see that reflection in water. So same way, we have to understand that Krishna is saying, because there is material, spiritual world, you're seeing that reflection here. And because there are so many rasas, so many relationships we can establish in the spiritual world, that's why there is so much of variety in the material world also. But what we have to understand is, in the material world, every relationship or everything is, all our possessions, everything is temporary. Whereas in the spiritual world, everything is permanent. Every relation we have in the spiritual world is permanent. That we have to understand. One more, this is not life lesson. Okay. So many might have questions saying that why the Lord, see, when there is spiritual world, everyone can happily live in the spiritual world, right? Why God has to create this material world? Why people have to come to this material world and suffer, right? So many will have that question. So here Krishna is saying that in the spiritual world, everything is permanent and all the associates, all the devotees who live in the spiritual world, they live there eternally. But Lord created this material world because the living entity has a desire to live separately from the Lord. See, let's take when we have small kids at home, right? For example, now it is work from home. So parents generally, they work on laptops. So what the small children, they do? They say, like his father or mother is working on laptop. They say, I also want laptop. I also want to work from office. They say, I am working, like that. Okay, then they wanted to have that mother's or father's laptop. Will the mother or father give the laptop? No, right? They cannot give it. But what they will do instead, they'll buy a toy laptop. And with that toy laptop, the baby will sit beside the parent and she will also pretend that she is working from office, right? But what did the parent do here? Parent actually gave an imitation of the laptop. The parent directly did not give the laptop, right? Because parent knows what is the use of laptop and parent knows that the baby cannot handle that laptop. And because the baby want to actually enjoy independently for herself, the parent created an imitation. So same way, because the living entity wanted to enjoy for themselves, Lord has created the imitation for us. The imitation of the spiritual world is a material world. Okay, but we have to understand that this material world is temporary and it is like a prison cell. Okay, we all are in a prison. It is like a jail. And why we are put here? We are put here so that we can rectify our attitude. Okay, got it? Understood so far? Yeah. So here, so now we might have a question. Okay, we are in this material world. So how can we actually aspire, or how can we go to the spiritual world in this birth only? So Krishna is giving this for us. So he's saying you have to set a goal. What is the goal? The goal should be that we have to go back to our spiritual abode in this life itself. Okay, and we have to surrender completely to the Supreme Lord. How can we surrender? We can surrender by actually taking away our pride. We should not, say for example, you have done something, you should not look for honor for that. You should not look for appreciation. You have to, if you're doing like, for example, you're doing some charity, or you're helping your friend, or if you're doing anything and you're announcing it to the whole world, right? It doesn't make any sense, right? You are just doing it for show off. So whenever you help anyone, even the third person should not know that. Like that, we have to behave. That is how our pride actually goes away from us. If you are announcing it to the whole world, that doesn't become a charity. See, in social network and everything, you actually see people, they actually do a lot of charity work. They go to maybe another ashrams and all. They actually donate money and all. But then with that same thing, they actually take a picture and post that in their WhatsApp group, or post them to all their friends, relatives and all. So if you're doing that, then what is the use? You're just doing that for show off, right? That is pride in you. So we should not be proud of what we are doing, and we should give up the lordship over the material nature. What is giving up a lordship over the material nature? We should not think I am the doer of everything. Okay, that we have to give up. Then only we can completely surrender. And then we have to detach through attachment. In this material world, we have so many attachments, like our relationship is an attachment, our relationship with our kids, or with our parents, with relatives, with friends, everything is an attachment. But then we have to cut these attachments. We have to cut this tree with an axe of detachment, because if you are attached to everything, based on that attachment only, you will actually frame yourself for the next life, next body. Based on that only, you'll get your next body. So we have to be careful, and we have to cut this tree with an axe of detachment. Okay. Yeah. So that is how you can free ourselves from. So here one more example we can take. Like this small children, what they're doing, they're building some castles. Sometimes they actually in the show banks of the river, what they do, they actually build some houses, right? But can they actually live in that houses? They cannot, right? They're just making for fun. But sometimes very small children, what happens, right? When the waves come, right, the castles get washed away. And the small children, they actually keep crying, saying that, oh, my house is gone and all. So what the parents will say, the parents will actually pacify them. But at the same time, the parents will feel, okay, this is temporary thing. And for that, she is crying, oh my God, how can I make her calm down? The parents will think like that, right? Sometimes the parents might even laugh for themselves. Why the small child is doing like that for small things? She's making a fuss. She's just crying. So same way, when we as jivas in this material world, if we are actually getting attached to all the possessions we have, like someone might think, okay, I bought a big villa, this is my villa, and they keep showing off and things like that, right? Then the devotees of the Lord from the spiritual world, they keep laughing at us, it seems, saying that, see, the stupid people, this is just temporary, and for this they're fighting among themselves, and for this they're actually crying for. So that is how the devotees of the Lord feel from the spiritual world. So we have to understand that the home which is made on the shore of the sand is temporary. Same way, the home which we build with the sand, which everything, the buildings or apartments, whatever we buy or construct for ourselves are also temporary. They are only with us until we are in this body. Once we leave this body, that possession will go on the name of someone else. Maybe your children, maybe if you someone else buy it, it will go on their name. The property will not be there on your name anymore. So we have to understand that. Yeah. One more example we'll try. So all of you know this first picture, right? It is sugarcane. Okay. So once there was a boy, he was talking to his friend. So this boy was saying like, I ate sugarcane. It is so sweet and it is very juicy. And if you chew that right, how juicy it will be. It even be better than you eating directly sugar. So you have to eat sugarcane, that boy was saying. And this friend, he was so convinced by the way his friend has described about sugarcane, and he never saw sugarcane. So he was asking his friend, okay, you're talking about the sugarcane, right? Even I want to eat that sugarcane. Now, can you tell me how that sugarcane will be? And this boy actually nearby where they're standing, there are some bamboo trees. In the right hand side, you can see bamboo trees, right? So he showed this picture. Sugarcane will be somewhat like this. You can see, right? This both sounds same, but they are not the same. This right hand side one is the bamboo tree, and this is the sugarcane tree. So this boy showed this bamboo tree, saying that sugarcane will be somewhat like this only. Then this boy, what he did, he clicked a picture of that bamboo tree, and he is actually showing that picture and going to everyone asking for, do you know this sugarcane tree, this sugarcane tree? And he actually took that bamboo tree and he tried to chew it. It even hurt him, and at the same time, he couldn't even chew, and it is not sweet at all. So we have to understand that the material world, the happiness is temporary. Same like when you chew sugarcane, it is quite juicy and sweet. And if you chew bamboo, will you get the same taste? No, right? So this material world is like that. You won't get the taste of the spiritual world, how much ever you do here. Okay, got it? Here we have a life lesson again.
Choose a way, one way or God's way.
So we have to make our own decision, whether you want to save your own way or whether you want to go God's way. Okay. Yeah. So you all are reading Bhagavad Gita, listening to Bhagavad Gita, attending these sessions. So definitely you are choosing the God's way.
Basayate Suryo Nasana Gona Pavaka Yadgatva Na Nivartante Tadharma Paramam Mama.
Taddama.
Translation. The supreme abode of being is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it never return to this material world.
Very good. Thank you. So this particular verse, what is Krishna saying? Krishna is explaining about the spiritual world, and he's saying what are the qualities of the spiritual world, that is the Golaka Vrindavan or the Krishna Loka. So he's saying in the spiritual world there is no need of sun or moon or fire or electricity. In this material world, for the light we need the sun, we need the moon. In addition to that, we need fire, we need electricity, everything. But the spiritual world is self-illuminated. So we have read, right, Koti Surya Samaprabha, like the effulgence of the Lord, and the people, the devotees in the spiritual world, from everyone, there's a lot of effulgence and they're self-illuminated. You don't need separately a sun or moon there. That is what Krishna is explaining in this verse. So there is a life lesson again.
Mataji, can you? Yes, Mataji. Material world is a temporary residence.
Residence.
Above of Lord is our original, eternal home. One who knows this is the actual knowers of Vedas.
Very good. So this is also one important life lesson to understand, that the material world is temporary and the spiritual world is permanent, and that is our eternal home. So one who knows that the Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the knower of all the Vedas. So you don't need to read all those 4 Vedas like Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, all that. You don't need to. Krishna is saying that if you have that knowledge that I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the spiritual abode, that is the Golaka Vrindavan is the eternal home, then you are the knower of all the Vedas. That is this life lesson. One more life lesson.
And they lived happily ever after is wishful thinking. Only spiritual world is the permanent settlement, total to home.
Very good. So here in some movies or anything you see, right, in English movies or any other movies, they always say, and they live happily ever after, and that is the end of the movie. They say for every movie there will be a happy ending. But that is wishful thinking. So in all cases, will there be a happy ending? No, right? So that is just a wishful thinking. But the spiritual, only the spiritual world is the permanent settlement. That is the goal we have to have. And let's take the example of hotel to home. Why we said hotel to home? See, when you actually go to some other Tirtha Yatra or any other place, right? You actually stay temporarily in a hotel. Okay. So in that hotel, there is a person who actually makes a lot of arrangements. Like he knows that he has his home, but for his short stay of like a week or so, he actually makes so many arrangements. Like he actually brings big, his cooker, his a stove, then so many clothes, all the clothes he has in his house. Then he brings some sofa. He actually calls that hotel people. He asked so many things like washing machine and stuff and so many things. He actually made an arrangement like a home in that hotel. But is he going to stay permanently in that hotel? No, right? It is temporary for just 1 week. But ultimately he has to go back to his home. Permanently he cannot stay in the hotel, right? That is only for temporary purpose. So same way we have to understand that how many arrangements we make in this material world, ultimately we have to leave everything and go back to Godhead. So that's why we have to understand that we have to do bhakti, and then in this life fully there is a chance that we can go back to the spiritual abode, that is our eternal home. That is this life lesson. So now we are moving to the second section, transmigration of the soul. That is from the verse 7 to 11. So can anyone just try what is transmigration? Because you already heard in the second chapter, right? What is transmigration? Okay, let's understand what was Krishna saying. Okay, so transmigration of the soul is when you change from one body to the other. So here in this picture you can see, right? So we have heard about that verse, right? Antakale chamameva. So at the time of death, whatever you will be thinking, you will attain that body. So the soul actually transmigrates from one body to the another. That is called as transmigration. So here you can see, right? Like how many species we have? Those many species, this soul actually transmigrates, and finally it actually goes to human form. And in human form, you'll get the chance of doing bhakti. And if they have done bhakti, they can actually go to the eternal abode. So this is transmigration. So you can see here, right? So many species, they're getting transmigrated. So in this particular section, Krishna will be explaining about the transmigration of the soul. What is our real identity? So this we actually dealt in the second chapter itself. And then change in bodies, and who cannot perceive that and who can perceive. This is what Krishna will be explaining in this particular section. So what is my real identity? We have it here. If anyone wants to read this.
Mamaivansha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha mama shastrani indrani prakriti shastani karshati. Translation: the living entities in the conditioned world are my material eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which includes the mind.
Very good. So here Krishna is talking about our real identity. So here Krishna is saying that the living entities are the part and parcel of Krishna. They are my fragmental parts. Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke. That my fragmental, this living entities are my eternal fragmental parts. My is Krishna here. Due to conditioned life, these people, they are struggling. All of us are struggling very hard with the 6 senses. So that 6 senses is including the mind. So Mamai Vamse Jiva Loke means Krishna is saying that we are the eternal fragmental part and parcel of Krishna. But then after contacting with this material nature, right? The jiva, each and every jiva, they actually forgot the eternal relationship which we have with Krishna. And all the entities, living entities here are suffering. And also Krishna says that Prakritistani Karshati means each and every living entity is struggling very hard with the 6th senses. So we are, once we get into contact with this material nature, right, we are bound with that modes of material nature. And then we struggle a lot. We are shackled by the chains. What are those chains? The chains are the three modes of material nature, and we are struggling very hard with our mind and senses. So here, sorry. So a farmer, we know farmers, right? All of us know farmers, right? So farmers, what they do, they actually sow seeds, and then they get the crops, they get the yield, and they actually sell that and they get money. But the farmers sow the seed, but who gave the seed? The seed is from the Supreme Lord, right? So same way, this Prakriti actually gives us this bodies. We have to understand, though Prakriti actually gives us this body, but with this body, can we survive? We cannot survive, right? We need a soul, and the soul comes from the Supreme Lord. Okay, so Krishna is saying that the transmigration of the soul is when we actually leave this body, the soul, based on our desire and based on our karma, it actually takes a new body. Okay.
My original relationship, I belong to Krishna.
Very good. So we have to understand that our original relationship is we are the eternal part and parcel of Krishna. That is, I belong to Krishna. Okay. So Krishna is explaining in this verse how we change the bodies. Yes, Brinda.
Shariram yad avapnoti yachchapi utkramati tisvara grahitavana hitvaitani samyati yayurgandhan ivasayati. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another. As the air carries aromas, thus he takes one kind of body and again quits it to take another.
Very good. So here Krishna is clearly saying that the living entity in this material world, he carries all conceptions from one life, from one body to another. See, for example, if you have a garden, right? When air, if you smell the air above that garden, how it will be? It will be very flavorful and very blissful to actually feel, right? But then if you pass through a garbage, how the smell will be? It will be horrible, right? So same way, Krishna is saying that the living entity actually carries the different conceptions from one life, from one body to the other, just like air carries the aroma. Thus, he takes the kind of body after he quits one body. So here you can see, right, like how the baby is born, and then he grows to a boyhood, and then he goes to adulthood, and then he became old age, and then he dies, and then he takes another body. So he takes another body based on the conceptions which he carry through his mind. Okay. So the consciousness, how it will change. So we actually dealt about the three modes of material nature in the last chapter. So the consciousness will change based on the mode we are in. Okay. So here there is another life lesson.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, good.
What I want to enjoy my preference accordingly, I will receive new ears, eyes, tongue, nose, sense of touch.
So this life lesson is saying that based on your perception, based on your preference only, you will receive a new body and you will get that type of new ears, that type of new eyes, touch, sense of touch, nose, everything will be new based on your preference. That is what, based on our preference. That is what Krishna is saying here. So the wrong identification leads to transmigration. So ultimately what we have to aspire, we should not take a new body. We have to go back to the spiritual world. So once you go back to the spiritual world, we don't need to take birth again, right? So if we have wrong identification, then it will end up leading to transmigration again. That is what Krishna is saying. Because this mind, what it does, this mind carries the soul from one body to the another. and the jiva will get a new ear, eyes, tongue, nose, everything. So that we have to be careful. And in this particular chapter, who cannot perceive, this heading is wrong here. So who cannot perceive this, Krishna is saying. So in the last chapter, we actually discussed about Gnana Chakshu. So what is Gnana Chakshu? When one who can see through the eyes of knowledge by having by listening to scriptures, listening from a bona fide guru, by developing knowledge on scriptures, one can understand, one can perceive all this, that we are not the body, we are the souls, all this one can perceive. If we have that Gnana Chakshu. But then the foolish people, that is Vimuda, they won't have that intelligence, they won't even surrender to the spiritual master, and they will be fooled by the lust and desire. Okay. So those are the people who cannot perceive. There's one more life lesson if anyone wants to read.
We know that change is the only constant in the world, but are we raising or falling with the change?
Very good. So we all know that change is inevitable in this particular world. Change is only constant thing. Everything keeps changing here in this world. Okay. But based on the change, we have to contemplate to ourselves and see whether we are falling down or we are raising. Okay. That is a life lesson. And now we are moving ahead to the third section. That is, we'll understand how the Lord is our maintainer. So the Lord explains here that he is maintainer at 3 levels. One is at the cosmic level, another one personal level, and the Lord initiates all the activities. That is at the soul level. Okay. Let's see at the cosmic level how the Lord is our maintainer.
Yad adityagatam tejo jayad jagat pasyate kilam yacha chandramasi yat changu tattejo vidimamakam. Translation: the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of the whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and splendor of the fire are also from me.
Very good. So in this particular verse, Krishna is saying how he is our maintainer. He is saying he is the source of the sun, he is the source of the moon, and he is the source of the fire. Based on that, he dissipates darkness in this entire world. Okay, understood? So here at the cosmic level, you all know this, right? Like we have like water circle, condensation, precipitation. So all this is happening. And there is other thing, like we actually exhale carbon dioxide, we inhale oxygen, and there is other level that photosynthesis also. So all this is happening at the cosmic level. So everything is happening at time. Like so many people say, people keep talking about the ozone layer, getting a hole in the ozone layer, ozone levels increasing, and all is happening, right? But Lord gave us an environment, gave us this prakriti in a way that everything is proper. But what we as humans, we are doing, the humans are exploiting this nature. And because of that, what is happening? Because of that, there is pollution. The ozone layer is getting deprecated. So all these are happening because of the greed of the humans. But Lord, he is the maintainer and he gave us everything perfectly. And people say that Lord gave us everything, right? Then why it is happening like that? Lord gave us everything, but we are exploiting it. We have to understand that we are exploiting it. Okay.
गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा उष्णामि चौषधिः सर्वा सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकाः. Translation: I enter into each planet and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables.
Very good. So this here in this particular verse, again, Krishna is saying how he is the maintainer of the cosmic level. He is saying he enters in each and every planet and then he becomes the moon. We know that Krishna becomes the moon, right? And therefore, the supply, for example, the fruits and all, the juice within the fruits, how they are very fluffy and everything, right? It is because of the moon. If there is no moon, the vegetables will not be so juicy and there won't be any life in those vegetables. So Krishna is saying, because of me, I become the moon, and therefore I supply the juice of life to all the vegetables. That is what he's saying here. So we have one more verse, if anyone wants to read again. Vishnu Priya.
अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापानसमायुक्त पचामि अन्नं चतुर्विधम्. Translation: I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff.
Very good. So here Krishna is explaining how he is the maintainer at the personal level. So we all eat food, right? We need energy. And the food has to be digested. So how it will be digested? Krishna is saying that he will be the fire of digestion in all the bodies of living entities. And because of that, the food is getting digested for all the 4 kinds of food stuff. So we know, right? There are 4 kinds of food stuff. Like one is you can eat. Eat means like the grains and all. And one is you can drink. One is you can lick. One is you can suck. So these are the 4 kinds of food Krishna is talking about. And for all this, the digestive capability is actually because of Krishna, because he is the fire of digestion in all the bodies. And then here we have to understand. So what is Krishna saying so far? He's saying that he is the maintainer of the body. That is how he is the splendor of the sun. Means he is the source of sun. And he's saying he supplies the juice of life to all vegetables. And he's saying he is the fire of digestion. And also he's saying outgoing or incoming air stimulates digestive fire. So based on this, we have to understand that Krishna is the maintainer of the body. So here there is one more life lesson if anyone wants to read.
Awareness that for everything we are.
Mataji, I am Deekshit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, go ahead.
Life lesson 8. Awareness that for everything we are dependent on Krishna brings profound sense of gratitude and humility. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, very good. So this is a very amazing life lesson for us all to contemplate and work on and remember every day. See, if someone actually does for us something, like for example, our parents itself, how much they're doing for us day and night. So if we understand that, if we have that awareness, then automatically we will have that gratitude towards them, right? So same way Krishna is saying that if we have awareness that we are dependent on Krishna, brings profound sense of gratitude and humility. So same thing holds good in for each and every one of us, for each and every one which we meet every day. You don't need to meet new people also. Just think about your house. How much your parents are struggling for the sake of us and how much they're doing day and night for us. If we understand that we are totally dependent on them, we will have that gratitude and we will have that humility. We won't get angry if our parents says like you're spending a lot of time on the phone, you're not reading or something like that. We don't get angry because we know that how much they're struggling day and night for the sake of us. Automatically, we will have that gratitude towards them. Got it?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, go ahead.
Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto matta smritirjnanamapohanam cha vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyo vedanta klyudveda vidyeva chaham. Translation. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas.
Very good. This is an amazing verse, and I think all of you actually memorized this verse. So here Krishna is saying he's seated in everyone's heart. How? He's seated as Paramatma. All of us know that, right? And from him comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. Remembrance is okay. Knowledge is okay. But some people question why forgetfulness? See, if Krishna doesn't give us forgetfulness, we cannot even survive or sustain in this material world. Everything will be chaotic. How? Let's understand. For example, there is a person who was like a king, maybe in his previous birth. And if Krishna did not give forgetfulness, he will know that he is a king of that particular kingdom, right? So after transmigrating to a new body, if he still remembers that he is a king in the past life, he might actually go to that kingdom and claim saying that this is my kingdom. And he might fight with the current king there, right? So how it will become, the situation will become very worse and it will become very chaotic. If each and every one of us remember what happens in our previous life, it will become very chaotic. That's why Krishna gave us the forgetfulness. Even we don't need to go to the past life itself. In this life also, so many things might have happened so far in our lives, but because Krishna gave us the forgetfulness, that everything will heal over time. So that is why Krishna has given us that forgetfulness. And here Krishna is saying that by all the Vedas, I am to be known. And he is the compiler of Vedas. So who is the compiler of Vedas? We know that Vyasadeva has written. But Vyasadeva is an incarnation of the Lord himself. Through Vyasadeva, he is the compiler of the Vedanta and one who knows that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then he is the knower of all Vedas. So this is how the Lord is maintaining at the personal level. At the personal level, he is residing as Paramatma and he is giving us the remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. Okay. So there is a life lesson here. Who wants to read it? Brinda?
Yes, Mataji. Lord gives remembrance plus knowledge required to begin our activities in a new body.
Very good. So that's what we discussed, right? So he gives remembrance and knowledge so that we can continue in our next body.
Hare Krishna Mataji. When we do something for others, I'm not able to see the screen. Oh, yeah, yes, Mataji. When we do something for others, we want to be praised. When others do for us, we think it is their duty. But Lord does everything without expectation.
That is unconditional love.
Mataji, I'm not able to see the screen again.
Okay. That is unconditional love. Okay.
Yes, Mataji. That is unconditional love.
Very good. So this is also one more amazing life lesson for all of us to understand. See, when our parents do anything at home, right? We will think, okay, it is my mother's duty to cook and feed us. But when we do something, right? We maybe on a weekend or something, you have done a lot of help to your parents. You will actually automatically look for appreciation, right? And if some relatives actually come to their home, you will even expect that your parents talk about you to them, saying that, see, my son actually helped me like this last week and all. So that kind of appreciation as living entities, we all actually think to have. But then here we have to understand that Lord is from the morning, from the time of birth. He is giving us so many things to actually live here in this world. But he is doing everything without any expectation. So that is called as unconditional love. Even the mother does the same thing, right? Mother actually does a lot of things for the children. Will she ever expect anything? Is she taking any salary or anything for cooking for you or feeding you? No, right? She's showing a lot of love towards each and every child, right? She's not doing for any appreciation or anything. That is unconditional love. That is what the Supreme Lord also is. He's saying that the Lord is doing everything without any expectation. Okay. So next time we do any help or if we do anything, we should not expect anything. If we expect anything, that is not at all a help. Okay. Got it? Yeah. And the Lord is our maintainer at the soul level. How at the soul level? Because he gave us all this Vedas. He gave us Bhagavad Gita. He gave us Bhagavatam. So what is Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is what Krishna told. So Krishna gave everything to us, okay? And we just need to follow the instructions, what is given in Bhagavad Gita as it is. And then he gave us Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is Srimad Bhagavatam? It is about Krishna and his devotees. So that is how he is maintaining our soul. If we actually read to Bhagavad Gita, listen to Bhagavad Gita, And if we follow the instructions which are in Bhagavad Gita, and if we follow them in our day-to-day life, and if we listen to Krishna from Srimad Bhagavatam, and if we listen about Krishna Katha, about his devotees, that is how we are maintaining our soul. That is how Krishna is maintaining our soul, by giving us the opportunity to actually listen to him. Okay. Here there is one more life lesson. Yes, Harshit.
Hence prove God is all good. God is all merciful.
Very good. So this is this chapter. We have so many life lessons. So based on that, we can understand that God is all good and he is merciful, all merciful. So this is the last section. So this chapter is quite small. We have only 20 verses, and this is the last section. That is the essence. So this is the essence. This four verses gives the essence of all the Vedas. I think 5 verses, right? Yeah. These 5 verses actually give the essence of all the Vedas. So here in this section, we will actually discuss about what is the essential meaning of Vedas, and who knows Krishna knows everything. If you know Krishna, you know everything. That is what Krishna is telling. Nobody else is saying. Krishna told that to Arjuna in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Okay. So here there is a verse, if anyone wants to read.
Dvamimau purushau loke ksharashchakshara eva cha kshara sarvani bhutani kutastokshara uchyate. Translation. There are two classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is called infallible.
Very good. So here Krishna is talking about two living entities. So what are the two living entities? They are called as Shara and Akshara. Shara means fallible. Fallible means mostly the living entities who has the tendency to actually fall down. Okay. To deviate from what they have to do. Deviation basically. And Akshara means infallible. Infallible means the people who actually live in the spiritual world. And they are infallible. They won't have the tendency to actually fall down because they are always connected to the spiritual world. So that is what Krishna is explaining here. So that same thing, one more slide we have here. So there are two types of living entities, and super soul is actually beyond this Shara and Akshara. So the fallible, these living entities, they actually think that they wanted to enjoy independently. So we all wanted to enjoy independently. That's why we are in this material world. Okay. And these people, what they do is, if they don't come to bhakti, or if they don't listen to Bhagavad Gita, if they don't come to this path, what they do is they keep transmigrating from one body to another, and they will stay always in this material world. Okay. On the other hand, infallible are the aksharas, wherein they want to always be with Krishna. They want to always have the association of Krishna. They want to be with Krishna, and they will never leave the spiritual world. They'll always be residing in the spiritual world.
Yasmatsksharam atitokham aksharasta api chotamaha atosmi loke vede cha pratitaha purushottamah. Translation. Because I am transcendental, beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas, the Supreme Person.
Very good. So here Krishna directly himself is saying that because he is Purushottam, he is beyond the Shara and Akshara, he is celebrated as the Supreme Person. That is the knower of the Vedas. So in this world, and even in this world and in the Vedas, it is said that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that person is the knower of all the Vedas. That Krishna himself is saying here. Yeah, who wants to read this life lesson? Shrinika?
Yes, Mataji. Though failable, we can still achieve all success just by following the supremely perfect person, Sri Krishna.
Very good. So, Yes, yes, Samacham.
Mataji, can you show me some life lessons, Mataji, and
Not now, Shrinika. We'll see that in the end. Okay. Yeah.
how many life lessons are there, Mataji?
Yeah. Okay. So here, this particular life lesson, what Krishna is saying is, though fallible. So we all are sharas, right? We are all sharas. So we are all fallible. But then even if we are fallible, we can still achieve all the success. How can we achieve the success? We can achieve the success by understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and by performing bhakti. Okay, understood? Because how can we become perfect? Because we are dealing with the perfect people. Krishna is all perfect. Okay, by dealing with the perfect people, we can perfect ourselves. That is what Krishna is saying here. So there is one more life lesson here, if anyone wants.
Yes, Mataji. Most confidential understanding of Vedas, Lord Sri Krishna is the supreme being. He is therefore most worshipable. Remembering this will bring perfection to your life.
Yeah, this another important life lesson, and it is self-explanatory actually. So this is most confidential knowledge of understanding the Vedas. So what is the understanding of Vedas? Understanding of Veda is that Krishna is the supreme being and he is most worshipable. And remembering this, just that thing, just knowing that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead and just worshipping him, bowing to him will make perfection in our life. Okay, understood? Okay, so I think we are almost in the end of this particular chapter. It is quite small chapter. So we heard this one, right? There is one life lesson in earlier chapter. Rake Krishna Mare Krishna Rakeke. So if Krishna wants to save us, no one can kill us. Okay, but if Krishna wants to kill, no one can save us. So we'll see how Krishna will protect us. We'll see an example of a old donkey in a well. I think most of you actually know this story. So there is a old donkey in a near a farmer. There is a donkey and this farmer uses that donkey to carry grass and everything. So this donkey used to work very hard for the master, for its farmer, and it used to do a lot of work for him. So one day what happened is after many years, this donkey actually became very old. One day what happened? This donkey accidentally fell into a well. And this well is so deep and these people, they actually, they don't want to dig anything. They just thought like they have to cover the well. But then now the farmer saw that the donkey fell in the well and he thought like it will take lot of money and effort for him to actually bring the donkey out of the well. And this farmer became very cruel and he thought that, okay, this donkey became anyway old. Why should I actually save that? Maybe I'll bury that donkey by throwing sand. And he actually talked the people around also saying that this donkey fell into the well. Now we anyway wanted to fill the well, right? So that it will become equal level to that of the ground. So you all come and please help me to actually fill that well. So they started pouring sand. Then the sand actually went up to the knees of the donkey. Then this donkey was feeling very sad, thinking that I have done so much, I have served so much to this master from so many years, and now he wanted to kill me. The donkey was thinking like that, and the donkey thought like, why should I actually get buried in this well? And this donkey got an idea. When the sand is coming, right, when little level of sand comes, the donkey is actually trying to come up. Based on that, the sand comes, it is going level up, and finally it came out of the well. There's so many people around that well trying to actually fill that well, and they wanted to kill that donkey. But in spite of so many people being around and so many people having this cruel mentality of killing the donkey, but Krishna saved that donkey. So we have to understand that if Krishna wants to save, no one can kill. Right? Got it? One more life lesson. Oh, okay, this is not a life lesson. So based on this particular chapter, based on what you have heard, can you all think about like 3 ways how you can acknowledge your gratitude for all that God has given for you so far? Okay, just think of like 3 things and you can actually raise your hand. You can say now. We are almost done with the chapter. We just have the overview. That's it. So if anyone wants to volunteer, What are the 3 things you can think of the God has given us and you want to say gratitude for that? Yeah, who wants to go first? Yeah, those who want to say, raise your hand. Any 3 things you can think of that you want to say gratitude to God, what he has given us so far.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Oh, I think you have 2 connections. Okay, Brinda.
Mataji, bhakti, service to the mankind, and the third one I don't know.
Bhakti is okay. You're doing devotion, right? You can, the necessity don't need to be 3. Any one also is fine. So based on doing bhakti, you want to show gratitude to the Lord. Okay, fine. Anyone wants to volunteer? Okay, maybe you can think of it and you can say me next week. Okay. Yeah. So this is chapter 15 overview. We'll quickly go through it. So the first section is the reflections on the substance. Here we understood that because there is a spiritual world above, we have the reflection, that is the material world, and this material world is temporary. The spiritual world is our eternal home. One who understands this is the knower of all Vedas. That is what Krishna is saying. And in the second section, we actually discussed about transmigration of the soul. So what is the transmigration of the soul? Based on the desire and based on the perceptions which the living entity carry from one body through the mind, he actually gets the next body. And Krishna gives us the remembrance, he gives the forgetfulness, and he gives the knowledge. So that, what is the knowledge about? The knowledge is we can understand that we have an eternal relationship with Krishna and we have lost that connection and we have to re-establish that connection. And we also discussed about what are the characteristics, the qualities of the spiritual world and what are the qualities of the material world also we discussed here. And then the third section, that is the Lord is our maintainer, from the verse 12 to 15. So here we discussed how the Lord is our maintainer at the personal level, at the cosmic level, and at the soul level. How Krishna is a maintainer, we discussed. And then the fourth section, that is the essence. So this is the essence of all the Vedas. So here we discussed about 2 types of living entities, the Shara and Akshara. The Shara is the fallible, who are actually trying to live independently from the Lord and they want to enjoy, and they always reside in the material world. Whereas the Akshara, these people always want to have connection with Krishna. They want to be in association with Krishna. They want to serve the Lord, and these people never leave the spiritual world. So that is the end of the chapter 15. Thank you very much for joining this call. Grandraj, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, everyone.